Here we are, Friday night. It is June the 3rd. My dad's birthday. Passed away 4 years ago, unfortunately. He would have been 81. Happy birthday, Dad. But I know he's watching me, making sure I'm being a good boy, and he's not looking too pleased, so I guess I'm not doing a very good job. But we're a little earlier tonight. We didn't have a busy evening, so we've got on the call. It's only 7:20, and we have the lovely, the very wonderful, very smashing, the very lovely, the very super great Beth Newell. Are you on the call?
Hello, yes I am.
The jury is still out as to whether she truly is English or not. But,
and will continue to be out.
Maybe what we should do on Sunday when we kind of had our final call, we should put the vote out to everybody. There should be somewhere between 50 and 65 people on the call. Put a vote out. Who thinks she's English? Who thinks she's American? I know where my vote's going.
Who thinks she's just bloody talented? I think that's what it is.
I think that's exactly what it is. All right. Well, it's Friday. I want to dive straight in so we can kind of look at everything. What happened today?
All right. So today was another busy day, but it was good. So my two invitations that I made.
Hold on. Busy as in you were working busy or ambit busy or both?
Well, no, I'm always busy with work, but no, ambit busy, which is good.
Okay,
I enjoy that
All
busyness.
Yes, we'll take that.
Perfect. So, excuse me, I had an invitation with Bill. I don't know if we had a chance to chat about him or not, but goodness gracious, what does he do? He invests money for wealthy people is the way that he explains it.
Okay.
And so I swim with him on the Masters swim team. He's about 60 years old, and we just have a very jokey type of relationship. And so I tracked down his phone number, gave him a buzz. He was away in Florida on vacation, but called me back. And after our normal, banter, I told him, someone that I really respect started a part-time business. I did tell him I was in a hurry because I'd had to step out from work to take his phone call. But started a part-time business. I did ask him, I find, especially for me, my story and kind of my why is pretty powerful for people, I guess, and tends to secure me the appointment pretty quickly. So I'd asked him, I didn't think that he knew about the reason I had moved to Texas for taking care of my Paul, and that's kind of what catapulted me into ambit in the first place. So I did share that with him just briefly, just said, I moved here to take care of my boyfriend who was battling cancer, and it's continued to grow my business ever since. It's been a true blessing. But asked him if he would give me some time. I would really love his professional opinion. Figured he might know someone I should be talking to, and he was all about it. So we have an appointment on Monday after he's gotten back. So we're going to nail down the time. I'm going to text him on Monday morning and figure out a time that evening that works for him.
Okay. Two points I just wanted to bring up on that. Good ones, no coaching opportunities other than for those listening. Your why is awesome. We obviously you knew Paul very well. I knew Paul as a friend through ambit, and it's a great why. The fact that while he was in hospital, that ambit was covering his bills. I'm not saying, hey, you were rolling in it by no means, but it also allowed you to be there. And that's a really strong why. Now, not everybody has as strong a why as that. So what I would say there is a coaching opportunity there, is just bear in mind the duplicatability of that.
Okay.
I'm not saying don't use it because of that. I'm just saying be cognizant of that. When people join your team, they may not have a stronger why as you. Yep. So just be cognizant of that when you're coaching them in the same thing. So, at the end of the day, we want people to be listening with their heart and not their ears. And your why, immediately, it's like when I hear Javier's why, it's immediately you've got, I'm yours. You had me at hello, like, I'm right there. So, it's a great why. We always try to, Debbie Atkinson does a great job of really narrowing down people's, getting to their why. Because a lot of people say shallow whys, like, I want a Ferrari, I want to do this, I want to do that. And they're not all shallow. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you can reach the why that makes you cry, and I know I hate all these, platitude type stuff, but if you can get to that, and you're genuine when you use that as to the reason why you're doing this business, and you absolutely are, it comes across, and it's wonderful because you just get someone to listen with different ears, with their heart rather than their ears. So that's a great job on that one. And the second one was, I love the fact that you used. I really would appreciate your professional opinion. We kind of introduced that when we had Desiree on a couple of weeks ago. I love the way she used that. I love the way you've obviously been listening this week, so fantastic, great job. I love the way you used that. It will make Bill feel good, that you respect him as a professional, as well as a good friend. So, yeah, those are the only two things that I would point out on that. Awesome job, and you're meeting him on Monday, so check. Good job.
Gold star. Make sure you get
gold star.
Gold star.
Oh, no, hey, now listen, you cannot just assume a gold star is coming your way.
Whoa, okay. Okay,
I am the holder of the gold star.
Moving on.
There may or may not be a gold star there. And
we're done with that conversation then. Okay.
And moving on. All right.
Okay, so Keith is my next one.
Yes.
He was a little bit distracted. He's also on vacation with his family in Indiana, which is kind of cool because he has family there.
Sure.
But he called me back, and I've been sending out, in the way that I've been finding been working at least as of late. I told you about the text message. So I don't leave a message when I call. I just shoot him a text and say, hey, I have a quick question for you. Can you give me a call back as soon as you get this? Thanks so much. And they tend to call me back pretty quickly. He did today. And I told him, let me pull up my notes for him here. Okay, so with Keith is an engineer. He was in the Air Force, loves the Boy Scouts. He's just got a really, really great heart. And so I told him, I work with a part-time business. He was another one that I've never talked about it at Swim Practice before. I told him I have a part-time business that has been going really well for me, and it is really expanding quickly in the Dallas area, and I'm looking to continue expanding that team. So I'd love to figure out a time to show him what it is I'm working on. May or may not be for him, but he might know someone. I know that he loves to help people, so I wanted to make sure that I put that in as well. And he was very responsive to it. So he's another one. He wasn't by his calendar, but he told me to text him on Monday morning when he got home, and to schedule for Thursday is the day that we're going to be talking.
Yeah, lovely invite again. It's working really well for you, growing in the Dallas area, looking to expand my team. I'd love to show you what I'm doing. It may or may not be for you, but I know you'll know some people who it could work for. I love that. It's just beautiful. It's just so flows off the tongue. Again, those listening to the call, it's a wonderful invite. It's also genuine. It's got everything in there. Yeah, it's got, obviously, I'm sure you said you were in a hurry, so the hurry's there. Your why is there to a degree, but you had the hook. You have part-time business that's really growing for you. I'm looking to increase that, to build my team. That's the hook. Listen, it may or may not be for you, but I know you'll know, you may know people who this would work for. You got the takeaway in there, and then you tied down. Do you have any issues with tying down the time and date and stuff?
Not normally. These two guys, though, because they were on vacation, both of them said they weren't exactly sure what their work schedule would look like.
Sure.
So they gave me a day that would work best based on their normal week of availability. But they asked me to check back with them, which I normally do anyways, but just check back to make sure that nothing has changed. So that's been really the only issue with those two.
Cool. Fantastic. Well, on those invites, they are so strong. I don't know if you write them down or not. I'm pretty sure you do write notes. But for the purpose of duplication, remember, it's all about you right now. Spotlight's on you, which is great. And I'm your accountability partner, which is great. But obviously, when this works and people join your team, you're going to be doing the same for them that I'm doing for you right now. And those invites are so good. I really would write them down because your wording is so good. Have them written down so that when you're coaching others, you're not taking it for granted that they're going to be able to do an invite as good as that.
Gotcha. Okay.
And bearing in mind that duplication is so key. It's so good. You just want to duplicate it. People will do it their own version of it, but when I hear you say it, I'm just thinking, yeah, I'd see you, and so it's working. I can't fault it. So yeah, perfect. Good job.
Okay.
Any other invites
awesome.
today?
No, but I had a presentation that went really well, actually.
Oh, presentation. Okay, let me hear. I want to hear all about that.
I'm excited. So this is a guy. Honestly, I was a little bit of a chicken little with him, because he was probably on my chicken list. Only I don't know why I sabotage myself like this. Whenever I feel like they'll be really good, it's almost like I get nervous to contact them. But those are always the ones that go the best, because they have all the parts that will make them successful, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like if it's a cute guy or a cute girl to me, obviously, and you think, oh, she's the one. I don't want to ask her out. Yeah, thank you for correcting. For noticing the correction on that. You don't want to ask her because the no, you're emotionally attached to the no because she's so cute.
That's it.
That's exactly it. So,
So how do you become non-emotionally attached to a prospect?
Well, okay. When it comes to dating people, I don't know how you do it.
Because let's not talk about that. I have too many issues. Moving on.
Moving on. So, but in the business, we kind of talked about this yesterday. Is the bigger your team grows, the less you care whether someone joins or not.
Okay.
I can categorically say, and this sounds mean, and I don't mean it. I don't give a crap whether you join my business or not. I do care if you join. Like I've been doing the same thing for myself. Pulling down 10 names and inviting. And I had a presentation on Thursday morning with a guy who I know will be brilliant at this business. He's in the food industry. He owns a business just like I do. He's got a family up in Massachusetts. He'll be fantastic at this. And he's looking. He heard about it years ago. He knew about Ambit. He did his research on me as well, by the way. I'd invited him and everything. He knew my name. He looked me up on the internet and saw my music company, and he saw Ambit, and he went, that's why he wants to talk to me. But he still came, still turned up. I told him all about it and this type of thing. And I must have taken it away from him 3 or 4 times as I'm going through it, because he's a business owner, and I just don't want to be that guy, all the way through. I'm saying, look, whether it's for you or not is immaterial, but I want to make sure that if you make a decision yes or make a decision no, that you have all the information. So I'm going to tell you about this. I'm going to tell you about that. I'm going to tell you about this. And I truly am not. He didn't join on Thursday morning. He didn't. He said, I need to talk to my wife. I've got a lot going on right now, and he didn't join. I didn't care. I really didn't care. Yeah. I really did not care. Now I know that when I was MC and RC, I would have cared. So my answer to your question is as your team grows, you'll care less.
Okay. Awesome.
And it's okay. I wish I could take it away. I wish I could say, just, don't be emotionally attached. Well, you kind of are when you first get started. So just know that that's how it is, and just know that it's okay and it gets better. And it really doesn't matter whether they join your team or not. But I like the fact also that you're a little tiny bit nervous. About getting started. I think a little bit of nerves, there's no harm with that, and I think everybody's going to have that. So now I want to hear about the presentation. How did it go?
Awesome. Okay, so it went really well. He actually texted me 10 minutes prior and said, I'm ready whenever you are, and I had something leading right up to it. So I called him right at 10 o'clock and got him on the videos. He had 2 screens open just in case. So Travis's background is he has worked for a very large real estate firm and recently quit his job and is looking at other options. So he told me before we even got started, he said, listen, at this point what I'm doing is I'm looking for, he has 2 options on the table basically. He's looking to partner with another guy to start his own real estate firm for commercial investments. But he said he realizes that is kind of delayed gratification. So they're looking at 6+ months of really no real income coming back in. And he said, this seems like, after the video, I'll go through the video first. So we saw the whole thing right away. He reinforced what he was looking for and said, this seems like it's a perfect fit to help me grow something that might be a little bit more stable, because he's also a little nervous about jumping off the deep end without some sort of security for him and his family. And so he became very interested. At that point, he had asked like a quick question. I did answer that. I try really hard not to go into the valley of death, and so I try to like limit what I say afterwards before I bring in the three-way call. But he asked something about, goodness gracious, he was actually asking about how we're able to offer, a better rate, how our forecasting works, all that. So I called in my three-way call, Mr. Pat Ezernak. He's awesome, and he was able to answer all those questions.
I got that same question, though. I got with that guy on Thursday morning, same question. Interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe they've all got the same brain.
You know what? I think so. Anyone who's a little entrepreneurial, slightly outside the box, thinks, hold on a second, the numbers don't add up here. How are you affording this?
Exactly.
So, yeah,
and
it's kind of
was
interesting.
Already breaking it down in his mind, trying to figure out how it all worked. So then after he got off the phone, we chatted a little bit, and I try, especially people that are my friends, I tell them I want them to be very honest with me, because I don't want to beat around the bush. Because if it's not for them, I don't want them not to answer my calls. I still want to maintain that.
You don't pressure on the friendship, for the sake of a business.
Exactly. So I told him, I said, I just want you to be very open with your thoughts on the business. And he told me that he said, well, what's the next step, basically? And I told him, it's to get you signed up and then do the initial 2 hours, the thing that we just learned about, getting paid session, basically the startup. And he said that he wanted to set that up. He has a long training weekend, so we're going to touch base on Sunday. He's going to hook in actually to the Sunday evening conference calls, and then we're going to touch base on Sunday and schedule the getting started session, hopefully Monday.
So he's going to be on the Sunday Purge call?
Yes.
Great. Yeah, that's absolutely what to do, is to plug him into what we're doing here. Great. So now he just for a little bit of pressure, I'd love you to have him signed up for before the call on Sunday, because it'd be wonderful to say, look, this works, guys.
Absolutely, and it may work.
No pressure, though.
No pressure, right? It may work, but I'll be in work all day, so we'll see if the timing all works out. But
I understand. Yeah, just obviously no pressure, really. I mean, if you can, that's great. What I'm thinking about doing is kind of revisiting the last few weeks with all my other people to see where all of the previous things had gone. Whether they turned into consultants, because some of them went past the week that we had. But I know, like Josh Workman, he got 2 consultants from his week with me. And I know everybody else got good appointments, but not necessarily signed up during the week. So it'd be great if you have one, or maybe even more before Sunday. But no pressure, just however it works. But that's great. Okay, fantastic. Sounds like you did it absolutely perfectly. I'm glad you plugged into the three-way call. And you couldn't have a better three-way call than Pat. I love Pat. He's one of my dearest friends. I love Pat so much. He's such a good guy. He's a really good guy. Cool. All right. Well, so 2 invites, both of which were successful in that they're going to see you next week. One presentation, which is, I'm not going to, tempt fate, but looking very promising. Yeah. Did you have any other activity or any questions for today?
Goodness gracious. I did have a question. So as I was dancing on the edge of the valley of death with his questions, he was asking a lot. When is it okay? Because in the beginning, when I first started using the three-way call, I was like a robot. I was, as soon as they opened their mouth, I was like, that's a really great question. Like, they could have asked me what my name was, and I was like, that's a great question. Let me pull on something.
Oh, yeah.
And I was too eager because I knew the power of it. I had seen that happen before. But now I've backed off in my older age, that was when I was 26, so it's way long ago. But in my older age, I've calmed down. And so if they ask a couple really, simple, direct questions for me, especially if it has something to do with me, obviously, I will answer them. But if it's something that seems like a really great question to have explained that goes into more than a sentence or two, I like to pull on the three-way call. Do you have a thought as to when it's best to use that and when you just need to be direct with them, or what are your thoughts on that?
So are you asking me if the question is very, very simple and one you should know the answer to, Should you answer it yourself, or should you get a three-way call? Is that what you're asking?
Exactly. Yes, please.
Well, here's the danger, is that it may be his only question.
Yeah.
And we do want to get the three-way call. The three-way call is something that I was omitting in my early time of the business. And doing the three-way call I'm a great believer in the three-way call. I never thought I would be, because it just seems so fake to me. I'm just wrong. I'm just simply wrong. And so the question is like, well, how much is it, for example? I mean, he saw it in the video, but let's pick a question that would be that simple. I try to get to the three-way call no matter the question.
Okay.
Because if you said, well, how much was it again? And you said, well, that's a great question. Hold on 1 second. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So that's fair enough. That's a question that I would say, oh yeah, well, in the video we've got a special going on till the end of the year at $75. And then, if that was his only question, then I would still like to, find out where he's at. Now, if he sounded pretty excited about stuff, and I may say with someone like him, you see, usually I get good enough questions to segue.
Yeah.
It's very, very rare that I get one. If I get 0 questions, it's, was there anything you liked about the video? Was there anything really kind of stood out? If I'm getting a really cold response, then you're dealing with concerns and objections. I'm not a big fan of doing objections training, because I think really there's only because the three-way call should do it. You should be using the three-way call, and you'll learn the answers to the objections when you hear your three-way call person doing it. Yeah, I'm kind of stumbling here a little bit because if it's a super, super easy question, it may not be really, really easy to segue into three-way call, but you want to try to. So, fortunately, he had a tough enough question. And so how did you segue into that? When he had the question about, how did it work? How did you segue in?
I said that's a really great question. I said the thing I honestly like best about the business is we work in teams, and I have some great mentors here in Dallas. So let me see. I don't know if my mentor here is, because that really has, he does a lot of three-way calls for me. I don't know if he's available, but let me see if I can get him on the phone. That way we can both listen to his expertise at the same time. So give me a second. And he was perfectly fine with it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I know that if I had been him, I might have been saying, no, don't get anybody in the call. I might have done that because I might have, I'm automatically suspicious. So the way I approach it is, and I'm not saying you were wrong. It sounds perfectly great, perfectly well presented. I usually don't give them, I don't explain what I'm doing. I'd say, that's a really, really good question. Can you hold on a sec?
Okay. Gotcha.
And then I've got someone on the line real quick, and I'd say, hey, listen, that question, I want to make sure I get that question answered properly. And fortunately, I managed to get hold of my business partner, who really looked into that particular area of where the money comes from to pay for all the commissions and this type of thing. And he does a really much better job than me. And then I would just go into the introduction, edify my three-way call, edify my guest who's listening, and then let him at it. Only because I really want that three-way call to work. And if I'm saying, I want to get someone else on the line, I'm opening up the opportunity for them to say, oh, no, don't bother. Which may or may not happen. And in the case of your guy, he was cool with it. But some people are kind of weird about it. They think you're bringing in the closer.
Yes.
And if I am the three-way call guy, if you're pulling me in, sometimes I'll say, look, just to make sure I set your mind at ease, Beth hasn't got me on the call to try and convince you of anything. No one's trying to do that. I am genuinely here to answer your questions. This may or may not be for you, and that's perfectly fine, but let's address your question. I'll always do that to make someone feel at ease. But yeah, the one that's really tough that I'm finding it hard to answer the question for is if they don't really have a question, or if they have a question that's real simple. I haven't had it, so I'm going to guess at it right now, and let's work it out between the two of us. I may say, hey, listen, you had a real simple question here. I really would love you to meet my business partner. This is someone I work with on a regular basis. He's been doing the business for a lot longer than I have. I don't know. I'm feeling weird about that already.
The one thing I have found that has worked in the past when I was in my insane state of three-way calls all the time is even if someone didn't have a question or they had a simple one and I answered it and then there were no more questions, I would say, okay, that's awesome. Now I'd like to introduce you to my business partner who I work with, and if they give me, pushback, I say, oh, or they say I don't have any questions or whatever, I say, oh yeah, no worries. They're just going to kind of explain it from a different perspective, and then if you have any questions after that, you can certainly ask them. But worst case, they'll give you kind of an overview, and then they'll get off the phone and we'll chat. And I always like to say that they'll get off the phone, I guess in my own way to indicate that they're not going to try to close them, and just to introduce them. I haven't had too much pushback with that one, but I don't know if that's right or wrong.
Yeah, I think that's worked. I know also I've heard other trainers talk about, I'd love you to meet my business partner because if this is something you want to do, we'll all be working together and I'd love you to meet them. That's kind of a nice way to do it. That could be a good way. Also, it's really good for my training. I'm obviously still learning. I'm still relatively new in the business, although you've been in for 2 years. So, but I kind of like that one. I really, we'd be working together. I'd love you to meet my business partner because that's actually what would happen. If I was doing a Dickie's barbecue deal with you and there was a third partner, I'd say, Beth, there's a third partner. You need to meet him. Let me get on the phone. Hold on a second. That's actually, I really like that. Actually, I like that. I think I'm going to introduce that to our training.
Perfect.
The fact that, I've got a business partner, and if this is something you want to do, again, giving them the doorway out, then we're all going to be working together. I'd love you to meet him. Hold on a second.
Okay.
So that could be a good way as well. So I like the one that you did. I kind of like this one as well. So for those of you listening in on the call, sorry we've labored this point a little bit. It's only that I've not really come across it in my 6 years of doing this. There's always been enough of a question for me to segue into the three-way call. But if there's it was a great question from you, Beth. I'm glad it's kind of challenged us a little bit to have a coaching opportunity. If there's not really much of a question, but it's something that they're considering, then I think just to introduce them to someone that we're going to be working with, if this is something you decide to do, that's really nice because that softens it. Then I'd like you to meet my business partner because we're all three of us going to be working together. So, and then the one that you did. Now remind me again of the one you did.
What did I say?
Now I'm putting you on the spot.
I have allergy brain. Hold on. Oh, just telling them that, if they don't have any questions, say, oh, great. I'd like to introduce you to someone that I get to work with in the business. They're just going to kind of go over in a little bit more depth and explain things and give a little bit of an overview. And if you have any questions as they go through, you can certainly ask them. But if not, you get to meet them and then we can chat once they're done. Somebody had explained to me in a training, I think it was in the Masons training actually, that you need to set it up almost like when you go to an insurance office and go through the process. We have a process with Ambit. And so don't think that it's weird. Just kind of let them know, like, hey, this is the process we go through. You said you'd give me some of your time, so we're going to watch this. We're going to talk to this person, and then we'll chat at the end of it. So just treating the three-way call as an extension of the presentation, I guess.
That's good.
Instead of something that may or may not happen, just as like a courtesy since they already agreed to meet with you. That's how it was presented to me initially.
Yeah, and just part of the process. I like that. Yeah, it's just part of the process. Part of the process is to have you meet someone else to give you a different perspective. Yeah, I really like that. That's a good idea. Okay, so again, for those of you on the call listening in, those types of, that's the segue to a three-way call. I know a lot of people find that challenging. If it's a pretty good, meaty question, then I like the way that Beth did it, but there's also the way where I did it, and that's all recorded. We don't need to go through that again. But when there's not a meaty question to kind of segue you in, then there's a couple of options there as well. I'm going to actually probably listen back to this and turn it into a mini training that we can do at some of the big trainings there. That was some good meaty stuff there. I appreciate that. Thanks very much, Beth. Good stuff.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are so welcome. And you know what? Your English accent's slipping. You're kind of sounding, I don't know, almost American.
It's because my voice sounds like a man. I can't properly pronunciate right now, okay?
You do sound like you're a little bit sick, you poor little sausage.
It's the end of the week. I'll be fine.
I know. Okay, so sounds like you've had a fantastic week. I mean, and yes, I there are a couple of gold stars there for you. With 2 solid invites and a great presentation like that, then I think there's even 2 gold stars coming. But I didn't want you to, expect it. That's all.
Boom. Hey,
Boom, girl.
Coming all the time. So there you go. In your face.
Fantastic. All right, lovely. Well, thank you so much for getting on the call tonight. I will see you on Sunday. Obviously, it's a longer call. I'd love you to give a very, very unbiased kind of commentary on how the week went, both from actually what you physically did, but also how motivated you felt to do it. If it felt any different than any other week that you're doing this, all that kind of stuff will be really useful for those who are listening in. But again, thank you so much. Have a happy Friday, and I'll speak to you next on Sunday if we don't do any kind of 3-way calls between then.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Richard. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. See you soon. Bye, lovely.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.